It's your host Varsha,
and Mega.
and welcome back to another episode of R&B.
Hey everyone, today we have Arlie Honeycutt Kidd all the way from North Carolina. To introduce Arlie a little bit more, in 2012, Arlie was honored to receive the Miss North Carolina Overall Talent Award, as well as a Talent Preliminary Award, and went on to become 75th Miss North Carolina. She had the opportunity to travel the state over the course of a year of speaking and performing, and she received the Most Talented Non-Finalist Award at 2013 Miss America Pageant.
Yeah, and Offstage, Arlie currently serves as the Relations Associate at Lemonpie, and in her spare time she also enjoys assisting with social media for the Miss North Carolina Scholarship Organization and anchoring the local news program Garner Update. Once again, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. I am so impressed by the work you ladies are doing. So thank you for having me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
thank you so much for joining. We both are really excited for today's episode. After researching all about you, we just got more and more excited to get to interview you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, I am so honored to be here.
Yeah, so we wanted to start off by talking a little bit about your pageant journey. So I'm a huge big fan of Miss America, Miss World, all of those pageant, TV shows. And I was yesterday I was watching the Miss America 2013, and I was texting Mega about it, and I was like, oh, Arlie's at the 7th minute, so it's been so cool. So how has your journey been competing in Miss North Carolina and Miss America?
Yeah, it was a really exciting ride. I actually started with the Miss America's Outstanding Teen program kind of on a lark. My mom was Miss Wilson in 1982, and even though that was something that she had done in the past, and I had tried on her crown when I was a really little girl, it was never something that I had really thought about pursuing very seriously for myself. And as a very awkward freshman in high school, my dad went to I think like a Chamber of Commerce meeting and ran into the executive director for the local preliminary in my hometown, the Miss Garner organization. And they were getting ready to do the annual competition, and they needed more teen contestants. They had just launched this program called the Outstanding Teen Program that was kind of a little sister to the Miss America organization. You compete for scholarships the same way, you participate in talent, you have a lot of the same opportunities that you do as a miss, and you get to be mentored by the misses. And so my dad, I was home on a teacher work day, and my dad called my mom and said, hey, is this something you think Arlie would want to do? This kind of sounds like it would be right up her alley. And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe. So I Googled it and started looking into what it was and what it meant. And it was a chance to go and sing on a stage. And that was very much something I was interested in. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? So I got a karaoke track and I borrowed a gown, and I ended up winning and went to the state competition and was just totally bitten by the bug. I finished in the top 10 that year, even though I had no idea what I was doing, and was just thrilled to be there. I fell in love with it. And so then continued to compete as a teenager and had the opportunity to take a little bit of time off and settle into college life, and then went back looking for scholarships as an adult and ended up having the experience of the lifetime as the 75th Miss North Carolina.
Oh, I see. So you took a small break. You went to college, and then you competed again in Miss America.
Yeah, so I took my freshman year off and just kind of lived the life of a college student. I wanted to kind of put down roots in other areas. So I, again, as being the nerd that I am, I joined an a cappella group when I was a freshman in college. Gotta love it. I got really into an organization called the ECU Ambassadors. I went to East Carolina University for undergrad and had the opportunity to kind of put some of the skills to work that I had learned in the pageant world outside of the pageant world. And then, when I was a sophomore, Miss Garner rolled around and I had the chance to compete and said, okay, well, I'll do it. I was first runner up there, and I already had, I had the dress, I had the shoes, I had the talent ready to go. So I said, okay, well, let's try it again, and competed at another local that was very close to the town where I was in school, and ended up winning that title. So yeah, just lots of opportunities to learn and grow there that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's really remarkable how you were able to balance school life and pageant too. So it's really interesting you were able to balance the two, because I know a lot of people, they can't balance both of them. They're like, oh yeah, I'm focusing, more on my pageant, like I don't really have time for school. So yeah, it's really interesting you got to
I
do
will
that.
I will be 100% honest with you. In the time between when I won Miss Kinston, which was my local title, and when I won Miss North Carolina, I had to be super duper disciplined, and disciplined to the point that I would make like a spreadsheet every week, and it had like 30-minute chunks, and I would be like, okay, so for this 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. For this 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. I'd be like, I'm going to take a shower at this time, and then by then I'll have plenty of time to dry my hair. Like it was I was getting really extra with being super disciplined, but it paid off and it helped me to kind of stay focused on all of the things that I needed to get accomplished during that time. It was kind of like, I have equated it before. I don't know if you've ever watched Beyonce's Homecoming documentary, where she talks about like, I did that thing and I did it once, and I don't know if I would ever be able to do it again, but I got the job done when I needed to. So I was definitely grateful to be able to have those systems in place that kept me on track during that really hectic time.
Yeah, definitely. It's, I wanted to ask, like, it took a lot of hard work and commitment, as you said, and there were so much restrictions, as you said, discipline. So, what was the hardest part, I think, of your journey?
Oh, yeah. I do think that finding that balance was definitely a challenge, making sure that I was accomplishing all the things I wanted to accomplish. As I said, I took a year off to develop other interests so that it wasn't just, pageantry was the only thing that I had going on. And I wanted to maintain those commitments that I had made before I stepped on stage at Miss North Carolina. And so I would definitely say that that was a challenge. But on the flip side of that, because I had a little bit of experience competing as a teenager at that point, I had cultivated some of those skills that I needed that served me really well during that time, in terms of finding that balance. It wasn't my first rodeo, so to speak. And so I am really grateful for the Miss America organization, because I had mentors that I had been able to look up to for years previously, and that had helped me to kind of understand, okay, this is a way to do this so that it's manageable, and that I can enjoy all of the things about life that I love, aside from just the pageant piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, like I can like imagine that too. I mean, there's like a lot of, obviously a lot of like while I was watching the show yesterday too, like there's a lot of people like, very emotional, and then like, when cuz like I think there's like a lot of levels, right? There's like 3 levels or something, and then you go to the final. And so part of my question comes from like kind of like related to that. So like what steps did you really take to prepare for the competition, and what was like your favorite segment?
Yeah. So once I was crowned Miss North Carolina, the really cool thing about the Miss America organization in general is that you're never really doing it alone. When you first start at the local level, you are, it's you and your family and your friends who are rooting for you. But then once you win that local title, you have a committee of people that's there to help you get ready. And so you never feel like you're just a ship out at sea. You've got a support network that's built in, that's really valuable. And same goes for once you win your local or your state title. As Miss North Carolina, I had a really incredible committee of people who were there to help me prepare, and really generous sponsors who made sure that I had all of the stuff that I needed at Miss America, as well as just kind of helping me get in the headspace to compete at Miss America. Talent has always been my favorite portion of the competition, because my background is in music. That's something that I really love. But I also developed a love of interview. And I think that's one of the things that served me really well after the crown, is that I had so many opportunities as Miss North Carolina in the day-to-day of the job. The week at Miss America is just that. It's a week out of a year that you spend with the crown on your head. So you have the opportunity, it's a full time job, and you have the chance to travel all around your state and just get to know so many amazing people. One night you might be at a gala where there are celebrities there. I met Charles Barkley one night. I met Alfonso Ribeira, who played Carlton, at a gala, and that was very exciting. And then, 2 days later, you're at the county fair and you're talking to a farmer who puts food on your table every night, which is awesome. Like, that's so epic, like, just incredible people across the board. And so I loved getting the chance to talk to so many folks. And that interview portion of the competition definitely prepares you to have conversations with really diverse groups of people and find connections with them. And I so appreciate that part of the experience.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw in your bio that you went a lot of public speaking and performance as like one of your experiences and skills. So I think that's really cool. And I've always wondered, so in the pageants, there's always like the interview questions, right? The questions they
Mhm.
ask you. So I was always like wondered, like, how do you prepare for those and how do you know like what questions they're going to ask?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So there are a couple of approaches to this. One that is, again, super valuable is that once you are working with a committee, and often even before you win a local title, local committees will do this as part of your preparation. So even if you're just competing at the local level for the very first time, you have the opportunity to do mock interviews. So they'll put you in front of a panel, maybe of members of that committee or folks from the community, before you're in front of an official set of judges that fire questions at you just like they would in an interview setting. And the great thing is, they're usually asking you questions to get to know you. So even though it sounds a little scary, you know yourself better than anything, and that's who they want to get to know. So you want to make sure that you're listening to NPR or watching the news, looking at a variety of news sources, so that way you can handle those current events questions that you might encounter along the way, and you have opinions about those things. But they also want to know who you are just as a human being. So you get to talk a lot about your own accomplishments, your resume, you get to brag about yourself a little bit, which is, definitely something that we're not super accustomed to, I think, as young women. So it teaches you how to do that in a way that you gain a lot of confidence from. And you also get to talk about your social impact initiative, or back when I was competing, this was called a platform. And essentially, the social impact initiative is an issue that you really care about and you want to advocate for throughout the course of your year. So, when I was a teenager, my social impact initiative revolved around arts advocacy, and I did a lot of work with local arts organizations in my area, in the areas that I was representing, to further access to the arts for kids in those communities. When I got a little bit older, my work with the ECU ambassadors, doing a lot of volunteer work, led me to shift that and broaden my social impact initiative a little bit. So I focused more on volunteerism in general, connecting folks with resources to get involved and give back in their own communities and create a domino effect in their hometowns and their areas. So I really loved when they would ask me questions about that, because it was something that I really cared deeply about, and I loved having the opportunity to share how I wanted to make a difference, and get other people excited about making a difference as well.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I was always wondering like how do these people like answer the question so quickly and how do you know what questions they're gonna ask and like see it go there's a lot of preparation and work when it comes, right? So you're practicing a lot with other people
I will
and
tell you, once when I was a teenager, my very first time competing at Miss North Carolina's Outstanding Teen, I they had told me you submit paperwork so that the judges, they're not totally coming in cold. They know a little bit about you going into your interview, and they have the chance to review that before you ever walk in the room. So I had made my resume for the state competition, not thinking super hard about it. I had just gotten, I just finished with middle school. So I had had my like middle school awards ceremony, and I had won a couple of awards. And I just kind of went through my little certificates that I had won and just like plopped them into my resume, not thinking about it, just like, let's get this done. So I went into my first interview and I had reviewed and reviewed, but in that middle school award ceremony, I had gotten the integrity award, and I was in eighth grade. And I remember I got back to my seat and I said, integrity. That's so interesting. I don't even know if I know what that means. And of course, I walk into that state interview, and the very first question they ask me is, we see you won this interview for integrity. What does integrity mean to you? And I didn't know what it meant to me. I hadn't looked it up a whole year later. I had no idea. So you better believe I made my way through. I rambled a little bit. I came back around. I did not win that competition, but I got through it and went home and immediately looked up integrity, figured out what it meant to me, got my answer together. So you do want to be really prepared. You want to make sure that you know everything that you have on your resume backwards and forwards, which seems like a really basic skill in retrospect, but it's one of those things that you learn. And that's the cool thing about competing, is that you learn so much along the way. Whether you walk away with a crown on your head or not, you gain a lot just through the experience of having that competition. And for me, what I gained that year was a better understanding of what integrity really meant to me.
Yeah, I feel like you gain a lot of skills like talking on the spot too, like doing the podcast too. Like I've always said,
Yeah.
how do we like talk on the spot without like rambling, or without like just reading off a screen or something like that.
Yes.
So it's definitely hard, and I can imagine doing that on live television. Like you don't want to mess up, you don't want it shouldn't be like embarrassing, because I've like seen a lot of moments where like someone like in pageants too, like their answer probably didn't really make sense, and then like they regret it right afterwards. So like I can imagine the
You
effort and things.
you get those butterflies going, and I think that and when those aren't the moments that go viral, when things go really well, right? But it is really cool. Even just as a consumer of pageantry, when I watch the competition on my living room couch, when someone gives a really dynamic answer, you have a different appreciation of what that entails, what goes into forming those thoughts so quickly. It really is super cool. And you're totally right. What you're doing with the podcast here is sharpening those skills. And the best way to build those muscles is like going to the gym. You just got to do it. The more you do it, the better you get at it, I think.
Yeah, I was
And
just gonna ask
yeah,
you
go
like
ahead, go ahead.
how did you like if you ever got like butterflies in your stomach like during on stage, like how do you calm yourself, or like what are some tips that you can give for like public speaking?
Yeah. Well, I would say, again, the best way to get better at it is to put yourself in those situations as much as you can, even if they are a little anxiety inducing. And that's, like I say, the very, very cool thing about being a Miss America title holder is that when you put that crown on your head and go out into your community, you're someone's Miss America. They may never meet Miss America herself, but they meet you, and you have the opportunity to make a positive impact in their world in that moment. And so going out into your community and meeting a lot of people, speaking in public, whether that's on stage in front of a group or just one-on-one, it helps you to become a better communicator. And so that way when you get on stage, you have that bank of experiences behind you that can kind of give you a little bit more of a sense of confidence in what you're about to say, and help you to maintain your composure. But of course, having a few little butterflies is a good way to stay on your toes. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you, paying attention. When I won, the night I won Miss North Carolina, I was the first one called into the top 5. And the top 5 then had to answer a question on stage immediately after. That was the next phase of the competition. And I was just so overwhelmed and excited with being called into the top 5 that she called me over, the MC, and she was talking, and I was like, oh, she's got the most beautiful emerald dress on. I love that color. I think that's really going to be in style this season. She's asking me my question. And so those butterflies manifest in unusual and sometimes unexpected ways. But the more practice you have, the better you get at zooming in on what's happening, paying attention, getting your wits about you, and taking a breath before you speak to collect yourself, and then say whatever it is that you want to say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So this is more like a personal question, but
Yeah.
if you were crowned Miss America, let's say, do you think life would have, changed, or do you think it would have stayed the same?
Definitely would have changed. Even just being crowned Miss North Carolina was such a life altering experience. I was 19 when I was named Miss North Carolina. And so, going from college, where, I mean, gosh, even just the wardrobe, right? I was wearing like t shirts and shorts every day. And then all of a sudden I was in the big grown up world and wearing, grown up clothes. So even just that was a little bit of a shock to the system. But as Miss North Carolina, you have the chance to travel all over the state, and you're primarily traveling solo. So I was hitting the road every day, going to new places, meeting new people, doing new things. And as Miss America, that's just blown up across the country. So Miss America essentially lives out of a suitcase. She is on the road 24/7, 365 days a year, promoting her platform, talking about national initiatives that the organization might have. She serves as the spokesperson for this national organization that is 100 years old at this point. And then at the end of that year, she gets to return to normal life. And a lot of Miss America's return to school, they utilize that scholarship. This year's Miss America earned a $100,000 scholarship. And so even though you go back to normal life after it's over, you go back with a lot of new skills in your pocket, with a little bit of scholarship money. A lot of scholarship money as Miss America to propel you towards whatever your next goals are. And I think that's the cool thing about the organization. It really is a stepping stone to whatever is next. So whether you're crowned Miss America or not, you're going to gain so many valuable skills that you can apply to whatever is next in your journey. And it's a great way to build towards those bigger goals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I also wanted to ask a little bit about competing with others. How was that like, competing with like someone else? Like was there a lot of, I don't know, like a lot of tension between people? Like were you like close friends with your competitors, or like how does that work?
I would say it's not what you expect it to be. It's not what you see in the movies. Not in my experience, at least. I at Miss North Carolina, the year that I was crowned, I had the coolest group that I was grouped with. We had 3 different, chunks of competitors that would do. We would all perform our talent on the same night while another group did their interview, or whatever the case may be. And so my group was amazing. They were just an incredible group of women. And when I got to the national level, when I had the chance to compete at Miss America, I was extremely nervous. I was super young. I was thrilled to be there, but overwhelmed to be there. And I think that people handle competition in different ways. Some people get really introverted, some people get really gregarious, others are more nervous, while that nervousness might manifest itself in other ways. So obviously, people handle competition in different ways, but in general, everyone was very, very nice. We all have stayed in touch. We made a Facebook group at the time that has sustained us over all these years to keep track of what everybody's doing and watch the accomplishments of all of the amazing women in my class. We did Secret Santa for several years. We stayed in touch. And so, it was, even though it's a competitive environment, we're all there for the same thing, and that's to uplift and empower women. And I think that because we share those same values, we all want to see each other succeed, because when one of us shines, we all shine.
Wow, that's actually so great to hear that you guys were all friends and not like rivalries or like enemies and like other stuff. Like what TV shows or movies would actually, oppose. Like you guys don't like each other. So it's actually really nice to know that you were one big strong group.
It would probably be more like juicy and exciting that way, but unfortunately it's not.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say that, like, it's really, it's really cool, and it's like, it must be memorable too, because like, you're able to connect, and you're still staying in touch with those friends who you competed with. So also, I was wanted to ask, I was curious, but like, what level do you like reach in this, like, Miss America, like in the competition?
Yeah. So do you mean me specifically?
Yeah.
So I did not crack the top 15 at Miss America, which was sad, but not that sad, because I did win a non-finalist talent award at Miss America. So I ended up earning the same amount of scholarship as if I had been made the top 15 and then been immediately cut. And for me, as someone who was really interested in pursuing the performing arts, that was like, yes, amazing. And again, for me, I loved my job as Miss North Carolina, and that's what it is, it's a job. And so although I was disappointed not to place higher in the competition, I was so thrilled to get to come back and continue the work that I was doing as Miss NC, that it was definitely a gift in that respect.
That's actually so great to hear, and that you got to pursue your performing career, vocalist career, right? I wanted to go more in detail on that. So you did win the senior award for the vocal studies, and like you've sung in multiple shows and venues, and you can sing in various languages too, like French, German, Italian. I was like, wow, like how, I want to know, like, did you have to like learn the languages separately like that to sing the songs? Did you put a lot of time into that?
So I ended up going to graduate school. That's what I used my Miss America scholarship for, was to pursue my master's degree in vocal performance. And so I had the opportunity to continue my studies at Louisiana State University, lots of purple and gold in my wardrobe. And I got the chance to take classes in French, German, and Italian. I took language classes to get the fundamentals, and then I also took diction classes. So even though I am by no means fluent in those 3 languages, I have a basic enough understanding that I can make my way through the language, and I can sound really legit, I think, when I sing it. And so I definitely really, really appreciated having that opportunity after my time was done. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and that changed everything in the performing arts. That really had a huge impact on the performing arts community. But because of the diverse skill set that I had cultivated as Miss North Carolina, I was able to pivot into a career actually in podcasting. I work in podcasting PR now, and I still enjoy making music as kind of my side hustle and teaching music as a side hustle. But I also have just, other skills that I was able to develop because of my the exposure to pageantry. I really do credit that a lot with helping me to land on my feet when the world was turned upside down. And so definitely enjoyed learning to sing in all of those languages, and hoping to strengthen my French because I still have some work to do there.
Yeah, it's like super unique too, and like how you sing in like different languages, like it's really diverse. So like that's super like wonderful because I can't like I know like Spanish. I know Spanish, but I'm still like I did Spanish 1, 2, 3 like in high school.
Yeah.
And then like after that it's like AP Spanish. So I didn't take AP Spanish, but there's still a lot of words that I need to like understand. So it's so advanced. Like I was at a store once, and then there was like this customer standing, and there was like a mom and like her son, and they were like talking in Spanish, but then I couldn't pick up what they were saying because it was like so quick.
Yes.
So
Yes. I feel like the best way to like learn a language fully is to immerse yourself in that language. I had the chance to travel some because of musical opportunities doing choral trips, and I felt like, oh, okay, I think that this is the thing to do, is just plop yourself in a country where everyone is speaking the other language, and then you have to understand it. Because I totally agree. My little bits and pieces, that was where they really were challenged in a way that was very different than just in the classroom setting.
That makes a lot of sense, like immersing yourself. And then I think the same thing as that, like I also took Spanish and stuff like that. So it's like when I watch like Spanish TV shows or stuff like that,
Yes,
those
yeah.
actually really help with
Mhm.
you learning the language. So I think that's really true.
yeah, so I just want to start off, or I just wanted to move on to the next topic that we want to talk about was modeling. So, like, since I was young, like I've seen a lot of like poster boards, a lot of models posing with the newest jewelry, or like I don't know, like the seasonal attire, right? And like I always, get jealous seeing them, and I was like, you know what, like one day I should like maybe do that, like maybe just once in my life, just to get the experience. So how do you like build your confidence to model? And I've also seen like in your commercials, like on your website, like one outfit I really like, it was by MHR Designs, I think,
Oh,
like with
yeah.
the peacock. It
Oh,
was you look so stunning in that
thank you.
picture.
Oh my gosh. Well, I that's the really cool thing about the Miss North Carolina experience. That was not something that I had really given a whole heck of a lot of thought to. I was very much in it as a performer, right? Like I want to be on stage, I want to be singing, I want to be speaking. And so then when I was, in front of just the camera so much because of the incredible relationships we had with sponsors, I was not I don't know that I was super prepared or equipped for that. I had watched my fair share of America's Next Top Model back in the day. And so I was channeling my best Tyra Smize at all times. But it wasn't until close to the end of my year that I was like, okay, I'm not so camera shy. I kind of know maybe ish what I'm doing. Because again, it's a confidence thing, right? Like you get some shots back and you see, oh, I don't love that, or I'm looking for a lot of flaws. I'm going to pick it apart probably more than anybody will. And I was very grateful to our sponsors for connecting me with not only their incredible talent and the amazing work that they did, but giving me the opportunity to get in front of a camera and build my confidence that way. MHR Designs is just such an incredible business. She works with Swarovski crystals. If any of your listeners are ever looking to bling out their lives, oh my gosh, she is amazing. She does amazing work. And so getting to do those really cool editorial shoots was something that I don't think I would have ever experienced otherwise, but it was really kind of a dream to get to try it out and test those waters, and just get to work with such incredible companies and awesome folks. I would say, again, if it's something that you're interested in pursuing, I totally recommend the Miss America organization as a way to give it a try, because not only do you get to learn those things about how to conduct yourself in public, how to feel confident on stage, how to feel confident in front of a camera, you get a little taste of a lot of different things. And so as you're, figuring out what you want to do with your life, it's a great way to see, okay, well, maybe I might be good at this, and give it a go.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool model. I've seen your pictures too, and you look so beautiful in that. I didn't mention it before, but you were actually really stunning as Varsha. The peacock one was also my favorite one too.
I got to wear rhinestone eyelashes for that shoot, which I'm like, I've peaked. You know what? There is never anything cooler than this than I will ever do. I think I still have them somewhere. Like, oh, this is blingy. This is amazing.
It looks really pretty too.
Thank
it's
you.
just everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
We want to also talk about you said, I think before you mentioned a little bit about Lemonpie, I think.
Yeah.
So you're an associate in Lemonpie, which is an agency. So can you tell more about it, and then like what are your goals for that agency?
Yeah. So during the pandemic kind of made the pivot. I had been teaching performing arts classes in my area, working at a local high school, and then, pivoted into a different school during the pandemic and started looking for some other opportunities just to kind of see what was out there, casting a wide net. Because as I'm sure you guys know, being in school during a panorama, it is a very challenging experience all around. And so I said, well, let me just see if there are other opportunities out there. And I've always been a podcast listener, a huge podcast fan. I started with Serial, like so many folks did, and then just, fell in love with it as a medium. And when I saw this opportunity become available, I said, well, why not? I'll throw my hat in the ring. Let's see how this goes. And then found out more about the organization where I am now. And it's just a wonderful place to work. We do help connect podcast guests with incredible shows. So we work with a variety of different entrepreneurs and professionals in various industries to help them find podcasts where they're really going to shine, and give them the opportunity to do what we're doing right now, just make those great connections. And so I really enjoy getting to listen to so many different shows, get to know so many different industries. It keeps me on my toes. It is certainly a different adventure every day, and I learn so much. And I consider myself to be a lifetime learner, and so I love being able to just soak up so much every single day, listening to a lot of really, really incredible shows. And so it's been a joy. I've been there for about a year now, and I'm excited to see what the future holds, not just for me at Lemonpie, but for the entire podcasting industry. It's just such an exciting medium, and I'm thrilled to be here, where it's still in its foundational beginning stages in so many ways.
Yeah, I feel like the podcasting industry also has boomed quite a bit because of the pandemic. Like so many celebrities, like YouTubers, they all started a podcast. Like when we started the podcast, we were like watching other podcasts. We were like, oh, this person's starting a podcast. This person's starting a podcast.
Yes.
Like David Dobrik, like so many YouTubers, and we're like, what is it with everyone starting at the same time? And then like after a few months, like once like everyone started doing in person, like in person school, and then like businesses continued. Like there was no podcast, just like ended, and then like all the videos are like 8 months ago. Like there's no update after that. So it's like interesting.
I think it's going to be interesting to see which ones stick around and which ones maybe are like, we've served our purpose, we did our pandemic thing, and now we're going to move on. But I still think, I don't know, the cool thing about it is that podcasts are evergreen. So if you have a great conversation and someone discovers it months and months later, they can still, reap those benefits. Yeah, it's very cool. I certainly enjoy listening to them and seeing how it is continuing to evolve. And you see so many businesses now starting their own podcasts, and that's really neat. As folks who might be searching for a job at one of those businesses at some point, Lemonpie has a podcast called Brands That Podcast, and being able to listen to that before I interviewed with them, but while I was still kind of considering, okay, what is this, what do they do, it was awesome. It was so cool to be able to get like an inside scoop about the company from the folks I was going to be talking to. So I think that there's just so much potential there, even as the pandemic maybe hopefully winds down. I hope that podcasting will continue to flourish in new ways as we move into the new normal.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add on just by saying like how I think it's like a different skill too, because like not many people like listening to podcasts. They like watching on YouTube or like they're like more visual learners.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think listening to a podcast also gives you like skills, like the ability to analyze and the ability to like hear properly and well.
Well, what I love about it is that you can listen to podcasts from so many different perspectives. Like the people, because there are so many cool independent podcasts out there, you get voices or access to voices that you may not hear, in a more mainstream channel, you may not be exposed to. And I think that's, with great power comes great responsibility. Some people abuse that, of course, but I do think that it's really cool to have a medium where, in a world where we're so, somebody like says something and everybody's just waiting to clap back, right? Like it's neat to have a medium where you can just listen to people have a conversation and you get a little bit more nuance than you're going to get on Twitter. And so you can learn a lot just by listening. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree with you. We started our podcast during the pandemic too. And yeah, we're still going on. We had like a small break because of school and stuff. But this has been this podcast is like a huge advantage to me because starting it, I'm not really a person to go up front of everyone. I have like a public speaking anxiety. I had that and stuff like that. So starting the podcast was a great way for me because it was only my voice. And it was really easy for me to just talk and talk about my opinions and stuff. And then over time, I was able to, confront my public speaking stuff. And I'm now able to do voice and video, video conversations. So this podcast definitely has given me a lot of skills. And I've said this over and over again, but it was a great thing for me.
It really is so cool. It's just like networking in front of a microphone, right? Like you could totally call someone and be like, let's have coffee together, right? But then you have this like cool thing that other people get to benefit from hearing these conversations. And so and like I say, I love what you guys are doing as high school students. I think it's so awesome what you've built here and so exciting to see how it's going to continue to grow, whether it lasts for 27 more seasons or whether you guys move on to other things in the future. I think that it's just really great, this resource that you've built here during the pandemic and in this time since the pandemic started. So kudos to both of y'all.
Yeah, thank you so much. We were able to meet so many different people that I would have never imagined to.
Like you, Miss Arlie.
Yeah.
Oh, I love connecting with you guys. Yes. Well, and I mean, talk about podcasting and pageantry, right? Like you get to connect with people that you probably wouldn't otherwise.
Exactly.
And what a gift that is, for sure.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you so much. I think this was our last topic, but did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about or say?
Yeah, well, I think I would just say it's been almost 10 years now for me since I was crowned Miss North Carolina, and I still, I continue to extol the virtues of the organization and the benefits of the organization because it really did make such a huge difference in my life. And so if it's something that you're thinking about or maybe interested in, I would encourage your listeners to check out missamerica.org to learn more about how they can compete. You can find information specific to your state there. And, take it from me, someone who was very book smart and didn't necessarily see myself as someone who would ever wear a Miss Anything crown. If I can do it, you certainly can too. It really does value the individual skill set of each competitor, and what Miss America was 100 years ago, it has continued to evolve with the changing times. And so I definitely recommend, if you're looking for scholarship opportunities, a chance to build your voice, to find your voice, to advocate for issues that you care about, and get to do a little bit of performance as well. It's a great outlet for that.
Yeah, so make sure to check it out. We'll put all the links in description, like everything about that. So
Sweet.
Make sure to go check it out.
Yeah, so we always do this one thing, like before ending, can you give one piece of advice to our listeners? I know you did already give us one, but do you have another piece of advice?
Yes. I would say, oh gosh, I think I'm going to stick with that common thread. If you want to try something, just go for it. And I would say this is like a common thread that I have found that has served me very well. And I actually just totally heard something kind of along these lines on TikTok a few days ago that really resonated with me. There was a creator there who I'm so sorry that I don't remember her name. I'll have to see if I can find it. But she said, instead of thinking thinking about, well, what's the worst that can happen? Think about what's the best that could happen, right? So if you see an opportunity come your way, and you're not sure, oh, is it worth my time? Well, it may or may not work out, but maybe think about what's the best that could happen, because you're sure to accommodate, or I should say, you're sure to accumulate a lot of value along the way. So the journey is half of the experience, and put yourself out there. What's the best that could happen?
That's great advice. Thank you so much for telling us that.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And yeah, I had such an exciting time, Miss Arlie. Like, it was really interesting and like fascinating to know about the journey of like competing in Miss America and like being crowned, Miss North Carolina. So again, thank you so much, Arlie, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And make sure to stay tuned on future episodes, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. It's me, Varsha.
And Mega.
Signing off.